Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to continue our discussion on portfolio analytics. So far, what we have done was to learn the ropes as regards quant mode. There are many functions in quant mode that we have already learned. So let's have a quick review. We can download prices from Yahoo. Okay, that's the default. So one way is to create first this vector character vector of names of the ticker symbols. Microsoft, Apple, Intel, Standard and Poor's, it has to have a caret class. No? Goldman Sachs, Ford, Toyota Motors, AMD, American Micro Devices. These are exchange traded funds. SPY and QQQ, uh, they track Standard and Poor's, Starbucks, and Tesla. And we said we pegged the start at 1998-01-01 and end at 2023-12-31. So the get symbols class, this is the get symbols function. So get symbols for the stocks, this one is stocks. From is equal to start, to is equal to end, source is equal to Yahoo, although this is not necessary. Okay, but it's okay to put it there. This is the default. Also this one, the default is daily prices, and auto data assign is equal to true, which means that R will give these objects their own names, Microsoft, Apple, etc. So let me just first clean my environment. Okay, I'll clean this first so that I'm starting from scratch. And I'm going to run this. And when I run it, please chat if you're done with this so that I know if I may continue. So here, it generated these objects, Microsoft, Apple, Intel, etc. And we've learned in the past that these are extensible time series objects there. Okay, starting with 1998-01-02. The others, for example, Goldman Sachs, 1999-05-04, the date most probably this was listed. And then for others like Tesla, it's 2010. So not all of the assets were already existing or listed by 1998-01-02. Okay, so kindly chat, please, if you're done already, if you have loaded the the package, and then thank you, Nathaniel. Nat, thank you. Let's wait for the others, please. I hope I get 100% participation from your end. 3. I really encourage you class to really practice. Maybe for some of you, what you do is that after class, yes, you attend classes, you try to follow along, and then you forget all about it. And then come next session, which is 5 days away, and you open once again. So, and then everything seems Greek to you, and you find it difficult to follow along. It's because this is a new skill class. Most probably, this is the first time you're exposed to R. So it will really require some degree of investment on your part, investment in time. Okay, not unless you don't care passing this subject, or you're telling yourself anyway I'm following another field and this is not important to me, but you have to pass the subject first. Okay, even if you intend to follow another path, if you're not interested in really using R or Python in the future, it's okay, of course. But for now, you have a responsibility as a student. You enrolled in this subject, okay, partly because this is required. So you have student responsibilities, and one of them is to pass the course. So to pass the course, you'll have to really sit it out and learn. Okay, thank you. Although we didn't get 100%. A few more seconds, please. Thank you. Let's give time for the others to copy. Okay, notice I didn't share the code with you because I want you to write it. Okay, thank you. All right, so when you run that class, you should have these objects. Okay, when you run this code chunk, this should have been the message. This one. Okay. Now, by way of review class, what we want is, okay, so to review what we learned last time, what we did last time was to try to combine these separate objects, these stocks, Apple, Google, etc. There are different ways to do this. One of the ways is to create a list. So in this code chunk, what we did was to create a list. Okay, so I'll share with you this one, the tickers, but I want you to write the lapply. Control C, so that we can save a little bit on time. Control V. Okay, so that will be our tickers. So you create this code chunk, and then please create this object my stocks, and then the function that we use is list apply lapply. So what are we going to do here? What will be generated here? It will generate a list, and you know that a list can take on different types of data. So list apply, we have to define the function. Function of x is get symbols of x. Okay, and then we identified from is equal to, we can actually, since we already have start, okay, we can use start here. From is equal to start. Oops, sorry, what happened? Control Z. Here, from is equal to, we have already the object start, and 2 is equal to end. Periodicity is equal to daily. Actually, this is just the same as the one above. And auto dot assign is equal to false. Okay, make sure it's equal to false. Okay, so if we run this class, what happens? First, if we run this object, we'll create a vector. Kasi mga character to, no? Ito. So this will create a character vector. If I run this, and let's see the environment, you can now see that we have here a character vector, okay, of 9 elements, which are this one. Okay, and then if we run this, we're going to create now a list called my stocks. So I'll just go to the end of this portion of the code chunk and just run this, control enter. Okay, notice I'm not running the whole code chunk. I'm running it one at a time. So we now have here my stocks. Okay, it's a list of 9. And then you have here. So these are all XCS objects. So the first one is Microsoft. It's 6541 by 6, right? The next one is, I think, was it Apple? No, not Apple. What was that? Google, okay? The next one was Google. So 4875 by 6. So you have here several observations, different observations. And later on, if we're going to collate, okay, and construct an object that contains all the stocks in one, whether it's closing prices or adjusted prices, then we'll have a problem because not all of them have the same number of observations. So maybe what we should do is to, okay, let's adjust this first. Okay, by the way, before I do that, I'd like to discuss something very important. Now, what if we made here a mistake of auto dot assigning is equal to true? Okay, can you run this class? Let's try it. What if we made this mistake? Auto dot assign is equal to true, because we know that the default is true, right? And it will automatically give a name to Apple, Google, Microsoft, etc. Okay. However, we're not really downloading here. We're not really downloading Apple, Google, Microsoft. What we're doing here is get the data itself as a list. Okay. So could you kindly see what happens if you make this equal to true? Did it run? Comment please. Nag-run ba to class? Auto.assign is equal to true. Okay. Nag-run siya. Sige. Carl, please. I'll stop share. Could you kindly share your screen, please, Carl? Okay. All right. So, thank you, Carl. So, could you kindly view yung my stocks? Tingnan natin kung ano laman niya. That one. All right. What do you notice, Carl? Does it contain the XTS objects?
No, sir.
No, no. It does not contain the XTS object. Rather, it contains the characters lang, di ba? Character ng Apple, Google, Microsoft, etc.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So, although it ran class, but it's not the output that we want. What we want is the XTS object. So kindly go back, Carl, please, to your code, and then replace it now with F. Okay, sige. Pakiran ulit si my stocks. And then let's see it again. Okay, there. Okay, so you can see class, no? Now we have the correct one. Okay. All right, sige. Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you for that. So that's another one thing that we learned. We saw that. Let me share screen again. With just a simple, a minor error, okay? And then committing a mistake here and then going to the next L apply and then do that call. We're just reviewing what we did last week, quick review only. You'll not be able to get the L apply. Okay. So let me forward. You don't have to do this now, but let me show you class what happens. So I now have my stocks, right? So if I didn't notice that, let me run this. Let me run this. Let me make it auto data sign is equal to true. And just like what Carl showed a while ago, my stocks, okay, it's still running, sorry. My stocks is, sorry. Okay, let me rerun this, my stocks, control enter. Let me wait for it to run, to complete running. Okay, so it's now okay. And then I view this, then this is wrong. This is just a character. It's a list of characters. Okay, so I'm going to, if I continue this, all right, take a look at this. Not this one. If I continue this, and remember last time what we did was to create this object, prices closing, and then I'm also creating a list out of my stocks, which is supposed to be a list, and then I say here it's closing. Now this will generate an error term because my stock is just a list of character. There's no such thing as closing there. Okay, if I show you this again, my stocks, it's just a character. Apple, the first one is Apple, Google. So there are no prices here. There are no closing prices here. So since there are no closing prices, if I now ask R to create a list from my stocks only consisting of closing prices, control enter. Okay, so it generates or it returns an error term. Okay, because my stocks is just a list of characters. Okay, so I will have two. Let me just comment here. Okay, so uh, where are we now? Okay, so the my stocks here class we said it had uneven number of observations. So in order to avoid that, I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to create another my stocks. This time we will define it from 2016 0101 to 2023 1231. You can just copy your code above, okay, and then change the date. From is equal to start, to is equal to end. Let's replace that with 2016 0101 and 2023 1231. So if I run this now, make sure this is equal to F, false. Ticker symbol, ticker's object is still okay. We haven't changed that. If I run this now, and then I'll check my stocks here. Okay. Oops. What happened to my stocks? Control enter. Oops, sorry. Okay, there, plus. Now you can see that it's 2012 observations by 6. Okay, so 6 columns pa rin, open, high, low, close, volume adjusted. Okay, but now our list now, consisting of the 9 assets, have the same observations because we cut it from 2006, 2016, January 1 up to 2012, 2023, December 31. A while ago, it was from 1998, which created some problems for us. All right, so let me just change the name of the object class. And if I view my stocks, there, Apple, Google, etc. So we now have 2012 by 6. This is still a list, but now we have the same number of observations, and also we change the name. Okay, so let me pause for a while, class, and seek your feedback if you're able to follow. Am I going too fast? Are we okay, class? Kindly feedback, please. Let's wait for the others to follow. Okay, good. Please don't hesitate to ask questions. If you're having difficulty with your code, please tell me. We're going to help you out, see if we can resolve that. What's important is you're able to follow along. And what's important is you come from a space of not being ashamed to ask questions. Because here, all questions will be respected. Okay? All right, good. We're still not even halfway. Let's give your classmates a few more seconds. I hope you're following along, class. And I really would like to encourage you to spend some time, then spend some time, maybe 30 minutes, every other day, just going through the code, trying to learn it and familiarizing yourself with it. That will really help. Instead of just opening your files whenever we have classes. That will be that could be a disastrous class for quizzes because you don't gain much traction and much familiarity. All right. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we now have again, my stocks is a list. So what we need is not all the six uh, columns: open, high, low, close, volume, and adjusted. What we need is only the closing. So if you recall, class, what we did was to create this object. Okay, here I want you to write it. Okay, prices closing, L apply. So we use the my stocks object and then create a list just with the closing prices. Okay. So if I run this, I'm now going to create another list. Okay, because this is L apply. So prices CL here, it's also a list. Also has 9 list elements in it. But this time it's already 2012 by 1. Okay. So from 2012 by 6, what was generated here is a list consisting of yes, 2012 observations, but only one column, which is the closing. Okay, and then that's not enough, class. It's still a list. What we want is an XTS object containing all the closing prices of the 9 assets. And to do that, from the list, we can merge all the closing prices via the do.call function. So we created an object called prices, do.call, and then the function is merge. What are we merging? Prices, closing. Okay, so if I run this code chunk, there you go. Apple, Google, Microsoft, etc. Okay, so it generated, let's see the class. What object is prices? Okay, so it's an XTS object. It's not a list, it's an XTS object. Okay, once again, class, I'll give you a few seconds to follow along. And if you're done, kindly please put in the chat box. That's what we want. We want an object containing the closing prices of the assets. So please chat in the chat box if you were able to generate this object called prices. So we were able to create an object called prices, which is an XTS object already. It's no longer a list. We were able to extract the closing prices of our assets, and then, so let me flash that again. Okay, so Apple, Google, etc. closing prices. So let's just summarize. How did we get this? First, we downloaded the objects. Okay. And then what we did was actually okay, just to show you the summary. Okay. So we created this object called tickers, and then we use lapply. So this will now create a, a list of all the assets and all their columns. And we made sure that they all have the same observations. Otherwise, we adjust it so that we have the same number of observations. If not class, and if we perform some analytics on that, then we'll get an error term. Okay, so we adjusted the date to make sure that all the assets have values. So after we created that list, we created another list. From that list, we applied the lapply to create another list, this time only of closing prices. And from there, we did some merging. Okay, we merged into one XS object, the closing prices. Okay, so that's what we did. So there were actually 3 steps to get the prices. Now, in portfolio analytics, what we're interested in is the returns. So we will have to master and really know how to create returns. Now, we already started doing this with quant mode. If you recall, class, this one, you have this, I shared this with you. Okay, a period return, daily return. Now, all of this, class, uh, can work for a univariate asset only. So let's try this. Let's try this. I'm creating this object. Maybe I should share this with you. Control C. And then let's try to run this. Control V. Okay. So here, I'm creating Microsoft Apple returns. I want 2 columns of returns, one for Microsoft and one for Apple. So I'm going to use daily return, and then I'm going to combine the daily return for Microsoft close, okay, and Apple close. Okay, so let's see what happens. Could you kindly run this? And may I request somebody to share his or her screen, share to the class what he or she got. I'll stop share. Anyone? Any volunteer? About you, John. Mr. Young, could you kindly share your screen, please? Okay, thank you, John. All right, so let's see what happened to that code. Did you run this, John, already? Okay, kindly run yung
Yes,
Microsoft. Sige, run mo nga siya. And then, tinan mo dito yan. Tinan natin. Yeah. Okay. Now, what happened, class? 1998 pa rin yata ano mo. No? Okay, anyway, sige. Microsoft Apple ano. Kanina pa yan. Okay, so, did we get what we want, class? We want the returns for Microsoft and we want the returns for Apple. Separately, of course. Kasi these are 2 different assets. But, yung daily return na function gives us 1 daily returns. So what does this tell us? Okay, thank you, John. Thank you. So this is quote unquote correct in the sense that yung code na ginawa, the code that we generated resulted into this. Let me share screen once again. So this is not what we want. So what's the lesson here, class? The lesson here is that these functions Itong mga to, period returns, daily returns, you can only use this for one asset. So if you want to get the returns of Microsoft, then do daily returns for Microsoft only, and then for Apple. So if you want to create an object containing all the returns, then you'll have to do this one by one. Get the daily return from Microsoft, create an object for it, create an object for Apple, etc., until you have the 9 returns, and then combine it or merge it. Okay? And that can be quite lengthy. Okay, is there a better way to do that? Okay, definitely, you cannot combine all the assets using daily return. Okay, because this will only work for one asset. Okay, so let's move below. Okay, and just to illustrate that, we did this already before class. Okay, so let me just, this one we did before, Control C. So I'll just share it with you in the interest of time. Okay, so this one, daily return Apple adjusted type is equal to log. Okay, this continues, and if we run this, then it will generate an object called Apple returns. Okay, run this, and then now we have AAPL returns here, XS object, and we expect the first row to be NA or 000 because it has no previous value. Okay, so that's what daily return gives us. Okay, so that's just an example. Or there's another function called all returns. Let's just run this. So Apple returns 1. I should have named it all returns. All right. So you have daily, you have weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Of course, you'll have NA values here because of the different frequency in time. Okay. All right. That's not what we want, class. What we want is to create. Okay. How about this, class? Let's see. Will this work? Let me just share with you again this code. Hey, please tell me if this will work, class. You have prices. And we know that prices, class, consists of the closing prices for, okay, this one, remember? The closing prices for our assets here. So what happens, class, if we use monthly return for an object containing several assets? Would you kindly chat, please? What happened? I already provided the code, class. I hope you, siguro naman iraran nyo yan, no? And could everyone comment, please, what they got? Error. Yeah, okay. It will generate an error, class, because monthly return is only for single asset. Okay, if you're providing it, feeding it with several assets, we won't be able to get it. Okay, so let's move on, class. How now do we generate this? So we have prices already, right? Let's just change the column names of prices kasi yung prices natin, it's closing nakalagay, no? So let's just, I want you to run this. Okay, copy nyo na lang yung sa prices na ano, sa tickers na object, yung C. Okay, so these are your ticker objects. And then we're going to change the column names of our object prices. I'll run this and take a look at prices again. So it's now wala na yung that close. No? That's what that does. Purposely, I removed the that close because it's I don't like the variable name to be that long. Okay. All right, then we have this object class return that calculate. This is from performance analytics. Now, I want you class to look at return that calculate. Return, it's capital T, no? That return that small c calculate. Bakit hindi siya nag-add? Let me check class if my performance analytics, I think my performance analytics is loaded already. Oh, it's not yet loaded. Okay, that's why. That's why when I was writing return that calculate, it did not create an auth just like this class. No? If it's loaded, then it will return functions from the loaded packages. So this one, return that calculate this one. Okay, control enter. And it will lead us to the performance analytics function. And it has a brother or a sister, return that calculate or calculate returns. The syntax is the same. Okay, very simple. You identify the prices. Okay, and the prices, if you take a look at the arguments, the prices is a data object containing ordered price observations. Ordered, okay? Price observations. So it can take on many, and the method is either discrete or log or. For return that calculate, it can even get the difference. This one. Okay, so let's use log. So performance analytics, and then we're using return that calculate, okay? And then here we're going to feed it with prices. And then method is equal to log. All right, kindly run this class. All right, if I run this class, so view stock returns. Okay, you have NA here. You have NA here because there's no previous value. So we were able to get the returns of several assets using performance analytics, in particular, return that calculate. You'll get the same answer class if you use calculate returns. Any questions so far, class? May I have your feedback, please? If it's clear, paki yes or no naman kung if you understood. If you're getting this. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. So, of course, we can use this. Can include na.omit class, na.omit in order to or remove the first row here or this one. Doesn't matter which one or okay, or na.omit. Okay, so if I run this, and let me just overwrite my stock returns. Okay, you know that the NA will already be removed there. Okay. Now, quick summary only, class. How were we able to generate the prices? So what we did was to use lapply first, right? Use lapply in order to use lapply with get symbols. And then when we generated the list, we used lapply again to get the closing price or adjusted price as the case may be. And then we do that call. So those were the three steps, main steps in order to get prices. And then from prices, we use performance analytics, return that calculate to get the prices. Okay, so that's 4 steps. Now, is there a faster way to do that? Yes, there's a faster way to do that. So may I request you to please install this qmao Control C and tell me if you're able to install this package here. Okay, quick, because we're running out of time, class. Quick feedback, please, if you were able to run qmao quant mode add-ons. Okay, good, Jennifer. Thank you. How about the others? Okay, good. So anybody experiencing some difficulty with loading qmao? Okay, good. Thank you. All right, just in case, class, in case you're having difficulty, okay, let me share with you this code because in case it doesn't, you can do it another way. This was before when qmao was not yet archived in CRAN, but now it's archived, so no problem. But anyway, if you didn't get it, just run this. All right, so let's go here, class. qmao, and I'll just share this. We're running out of time. I'll just share this first. Because this will really simplify things. So please copy the, let me see if this will work. Kind of long. Good. All right, very quickly, class. It's almost time. So the videos that I'm going to share will be also the videos of the other section, especially the later part, class. Kindly just take a look at this. Now, what's happening here is that first we use get symbols and then get the assets. So get symbols. Let's do the same thing, 2016-01-01 until 2023. So if we run this, we'll get Microsoft, Apple, etc. from 2016-01. Okay, this one. This time the dates are from 2016. There, 2016. Okay, these assets, 2016. The others are not included anymore. Okay, so these assets. Now, after that class, when you have those objects, we can already generate with this function, the code, make price frame. With this function, make price frame, we can get already the prices. So you just specify the assets, and then from what date to what date, and then what do you want, adjusted, and then na.omit is equal to true, silent is equal to true, and then let's view PF. Okay, so quickly, if I run this, boom, prices. Okay, so very fast, so very quick class. We did not need to uh, get get the adjusted price of each of the assets and then combine it. No more. Just make use of that. Just make use of that function. Make price frame, or the shortcut is just PF here. So if we run this, it will generate the same thing. However, class, note, you can skip the price. You can go directly to returns here. Same thing. But this time, we're using make return frame, or let's use this one, RF, return frame. So if I run this, even without using the PF, the price frame, I can already get the returns. So if I run this, RF, now notice even if we write na.omit is equal to true, okay, so I run RF. If you need to go, class, you may do so. I'll just finish this for recording purposes. RF, here you go. There, class. Now, notice that even if we wrote NA.omit is equal to true, it did not omit. So we'll just have to remove that. But what's the good news about this is this is already the price, this is the returns. So from the objects, Microsoft, you can directly get the returns using the RF function from the qmao. And then let's just remove the first row. There you go. So we now have this vector of returns called RF. All right. So next meeting, class, we're going to continue our discussion with the portfolio returns. Okay, that will be our discussion for next term. So are there any questions before we call it a day? Yes, Shambi, yes?
Sir, I am present po, na-mark as
Sige, sige.
absent ako
Okay, sige.
kanina. Thank you po.
Stop recording.